every other team really weak at the very start of the split. FlyQuest, of course, 6-3, still a pretty solid scoreline, and we'll see if they can take this win over TSM. And if they do so, they would currently hold the tiebreak in controlling second place, but of course they would rematch again later on in the season. Kha'Zix and Graves banned away from Svenskeren in the jungle. Moon, of course, had his own pocket picks like Evelyn. I think he's happy to withstand jungle bans.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what they're pushing towards. Moon has had some very good games on Rengar, even though he did lose with it against Team Dignitas. So pulling the jungle pool down to just those champions, especially when you consider Kha'Zix and Graves are kind of the top two, and then opening the door for Moon to play it and then not having to face a meta pick. Yeah, something FlyQuest should be pretty comfortable with.
Okay, so the Rengar actually does come through as a ban. Looking at the big S-tier champions, Ryze is up there, Maokai's up there, Varus as well, and of course Maokai being the first pick. Want to see what else happens at the end of this.
Yeah, no huge surprises there, especially with Shen being banned and Hauntzer's success when he's been on tank champions.
True.
So TSM hasn't had as much success when Hauntzer has been on others, but they're forced off the main super good tanks, and he's going to have to go with Nautilus, which he is currently 2-1 with on the year if they lock that in here.
Seems like it's going to be the case. Of course, you saw him hover many other squishier picks. Jace also crucially still available in the lineup, but not going to be the grab so far. It will be tank versus tank, and FlyQuest kind of got what they bargained for with the first pick. They got the higher priority one. Now TSM can make their own choices. 3 junglers off the table, all the bot laners, all the supports available, all of the mid laners as well. LeBlanc, Ryze, Jace, a lot of high priority champions still out there.
Exactly, and you can kind of see, especially when TSM matches with the Nautilus, that they're trying to go with a much more counter pick strategy here, trying to utilize probably the last 2 picks they'll have in their draft. Red side has a lot of power between their 3rd and 4th pick because they get the last pick of the first phase of the draft, followed by the first pick of the second phase and the last pick of the second phase. So what's surprising again with TSM's draft is their deprioritization of Varus, who has been mainly a permaban for most teams on 7.3. We actually saw it go completely through the draft in Game 3 of TSM vs Cloud9, and they kind of give it up to FlyQuest, who probably wasn't expecting to get it after first picking Maokai.
Yeah, unless they'd done their own research and said, oh, we know TSM doesn't value it, we can take it later on, and that risk has paid off because clearly FlyQuest does value Varus as the most important bot laner since they could have picked anything else they wanted. And quickly it's going to be matched up with Ashe in the bot lane, so we have another draft where mid laners are left open into the later phase. And again, with no bans at all, nothing seems to be powerful enough to be worth grabbing in the first phase.
Yeah, and this is where it's going to get really interesting too as far as what bans are chosen. A lot of teams have tried to target high in the ban phase, push him off what they think is his small champion pool. He's kind of shown a lot of success on different champs. However, the mismatch here is the jungle pick, where TSM has Lee Sin locked in, whereas FlyQuest has a support. And while TSM is throwing bans at high, even though they have a chance to pinch jungle, FlyQuest is actually pinching support, since they have a support and they can ban out the rest from TSM.
Absolutely. There's always a small chance you see Karma flexed as well, but that's very unlikely here. Zed dropped off the table as well. 2 assassins gone from high. There's always the Jarvan if he wants it. Echo in there. Corki's been a very big pick for him, and I wonder, considering the 2 assassin bans, if Corki just ends up being the first pick for Bjergsen anyway.
Yeah, it has been so successful for high, as he has done not only a lot of damage with Corki, but a lot more damage than other Corkis who have been played in the NALCS.
Ryze actually off the table instead, so that's not what they thought the first pick was going to be. They didn't think it was going to be Corki, because otherwise you wouldn't bother. And it's going to be a couple of hovers now. TSM, of course, get to first pick here, and again, they need support, which will not be pinched anymore, so there's no rush. So the question is, do they want to counterpick mid, or do they want priority on mid? And they've got to kind of pick that now.
Exactly, and it's kind of a question of how well do they think High can counter something like Jace, since Jace is considered a power pick here, as is Corki. So despite the 2 assassin bans, High could definitely find a pretty easy access to a strong poke champion. And obviously TSM with that Nami pick right there, I think it was between Nami and Thresh for TSM. They're leaving that mid lane for a counter pick.
And that was what they prioritized here. 3 mid lane bans, everything else up on the table. Of course, FlyQuest need to grab their jungler. Shake! Whoa! Yes! Oh, baby! Yeah, Moon smiling and nodding. Shako in the jungle is here. I have people ask about the champion. He's definitely been strong in solo queue.
Yes.
Oh, baby!
And yes, we've talked to a lot of people about this, because a lot of times solo queue is an indicator of like what champions are OP, and there are 2 Shako main junglers in the top 10 of challenge.
Yep.
The champion very strong at a high level of play, but no one has really ported it over to the competitive game yet. And the reason we think this is, we were talking about this amongst the casters, is Shako late game is a very different style in solo queue than it is to competitive. And you need so many games on Shako to learn how to kind of fit that into the pro style. FlyQuest, though, have been so free to kind of give Moon a lot of rope with the way he plays on Evelynn and kind of find those solo queue success cases where he can take a bunch of farm and split push and flank around to try and one-shot people. And that's kind of what Shako is going to do here. We'll get into his build a little bit more when we're getting into the game because there are a lot of different options you can do on Shako, but it looks like he's going the full Shako, Ignite with the Smite early on here, and that's what we're used to seeing.
This is awesome, but this is going to be a bunch of fun. Smite, Ignite, Shako. Moon is to my knowledge, still the only Evelynn player in competitive, and this might be the first, as Jatt looks it up, I was going to do the same, but I'll let you do it. This might be the first Shako of the year as well, so Moon might be a 2x only person in pro play to play this champion player right now, and he's been very good. So this style has worked out for Moon so far with FlyQuest. Moon is one of the KDA leaders of the jungle, one of the overall kill leaders of the league as well. He's, I think, top 4. And this is going to be a whole bunch of fun. I love seeing new picks come out. I'm very excited about that, and I'm going to be watching very intently to see just what Moon can do in this game. Svenskeren, of course, on the meta Lee Sin. He never leaves pro play. We all know how strong that champion can be, and now Sven plays solo queue. He's played against Shako before, I'm certain of it, but has he ever scrimmed against it? And I doubt that.
Yeah, it is super, super rare in any pro play. The last we can see when the stats people just went and looked into this was Spring European Finals in 2015 where Kikis played a Shako game. But like that was already pretty much 2 full years ago in a different country. So it's definitely not something you're used to seeing in pro play.
Kikis is a guy who played jungle TF for a while. Like that guy was probably more of an originator than Moon was, but we are ready to go into this match. It's going to be a whole bunch of fun. FlyQuest taking on TSM with Moon bringing out the first Shako jungle in about 2 years.
Oh yeah.
Here we go, game 1, battle for second place on the line. Let's go.
So first off, we're going to have to see where Moon layers his boxes at the start of the game, because that is one of the things about him jumping out to very early level spikes above the opponent jungler. And then it's also going to be about whether Moon just uses the threat of Shako to alter the enemy laning patterns, or if he actually goes for the early gank with Ignite. Because that's one of the things you can do with the Ignite on Shako is since your gank threat is so high, sometimes you just almost trick the opponent into hard farming and find a lead that way. So a lot of options that Moon has with the Shako.
Absolutely, and it starts with an early invade as they're expecting it to be actually maybe towards the red buff. In fact, there is a box there, but TSM going to drop a ward and that's it. They're not going to try to pop the boxes. This may be too much of a risk for them. High does not choose to deal damage. Okay, he hits Hauntzer once. That was some tempered aggression right there. High could have unloaded. Lemonnation gets 8 gold. Oh, baby. All right, well, apparently we got to talk to Moon a little while ago about a topic. Let's hear from him real quick.
Evelynn is like really hard to pick up. You need a lot of games, and I've played her since Season 2. I've been like an Evelynn main since Season 2. It's kind of like similar to Shako, I guess, in a sense that you need a lot of games to master how to play the champion, and she's really unique compared to other champions.
A little foreshadowing there for Moon. Obviously, I'm trying to put a lot of games in. The ward has been spotted there. Hauntzer's also going to try and get a good trade in onto Balls right here. Nautilus can out-trade Maokai level 1 for sure.
But Balls thankfully had his passive available already, so got a bit of a heal coming through. And they're going to trade their blows and walk back and forth. Obviously, it's going to be fun one to watch for. And it's crucial that TSM knows where Moon started. Because of the boxes, you know he can kind of start anywhere he wants to, and he doesn't need a leash, really. But they do know he did blue into Gromp, and that means that Moon must be bot side in the next 5 seconds after he does Wolves. And it should allow Hauntzer to play without Shako around. And TSM's bot lane have to realize that Shako can be near.
Yeah, and for now, it does look like he's just going the hard farming route very quickly to level 3. Only had to use 1 stack of his refillable potion. But you do notice that regardless, all of FlyQuest lanes are pushing in right now. Aside from Hauntzer, who would kind of know that he's clear of a Shako at this point since it's been so long that since they've seen him do the blue buff.
Yep. So checking in on Shako, of course, Thunderlords, not a surprise. I checked earlier, not running any lethality runes to my knowledge. He's got 9 lethality, which I believe is just the mastery, or close to it.
He also has 14 AP right now, so Shako does have 16 AP actually, so...
Yeah, so it's AP glyphs and 12 points offense, which will give you like the 4-ish ability power based on character levels. That's my guess.
Started the game with 14, so we can obviously check the rune page in the post-game stats afterwards, but Shako has a lot of kind of hybrid scalings on some of his spells where he's got an AP and an AD ratio on these things, so you can take AP runes and still do a full lethality build, which is what I'm probably expecting from Moon. Most of the Shakos in High Challenger do the lethality rushes a lot of times with Tiamat and just kind of try to deceive behind you and one-shot you. We've also seen a recent resurgence of some Sunfire Cape Shako, surprisingly, into a Trinity Force that has a lot of kind of bruiser effectiveness. These things happen when a champion actually is just overtuned or overloaded. You see multiple builds that work, but once again, Moon, the first one to bring it into competitive this year.
This is the first time I've actually seen TSM with their overwhelming vote lead, and it's kind of, in a way, good to see all the fans get their faith back after TSM played so well yesterday. Again, early to tell, you don't want to crown them the kings yet, obviously, but you're always hoping to find that team that's just playing really sharply all the time. TSM showed a good game yesterday, and we'll see if they can find more.
Yeah, and this actually, I think Svenskeren didn't quite get hit by that Squires Bloom, but he's still going to end up with safety in securing his Gromp, so a counter-jungling attempt by Moon is unsuccessful.
Yep, otherwise we've been trading the jungle pretty equally back and forth.
Yeah, he's got 6 seconds left on his deceive because he had to deceive away here, so his gank timing is actually a little bit messed up, and that would be a really telegraphed gank if he does go mid. Notice how smart Svenskeren is, pathing through the back of the turret right there in case a Shako gank. That would have been something Sven could turn around, so Moon smartly doesn't go in.
There was a ping off towards him, though. They actually said, warning, warning, someone's up around that side of the map, and it looks like they were appropriate in figuring out that he was over there. Ooh, this could be good by Sven, though. Nice hook on a ball. That was beautifully executed. The hook lands as well from Hauntzer. First blood into the top lane.
They made it look so easy. We've been so distracted by Shako, we're missing out on the other storylines, right? Hauntzer had the early level 1 trade on balls, harassed him actually quite low there, and then they kill balls before he can even react. And we're also not mentioning the career rivalry between Hai and Bjergsen. We got to see that drop-down stat a moment ago, where they're neck and neck with career wins against each other. It's been a very close team rivalry when these guys play each other, and we get it once again here, Syndra vs. Corki.
Absolutely, yeah. So much to go around this game. Sidetracked by the Shako, but I mean, why wouldn't you be? He's always the center of attention a lot of the time. We can see right now, 500 gold lead for TSM, largely from the first blood itself. Quick reset coming down, and most of these lanes have been trading close to equal. Oh, Sven, ooh, okay. Good ward. Hello. Just kidding. Land the Q. Come on. Huh, do it, yeah! Jeez, Hai's almost dead. All right, that went well for Svenskeren. And that's some turret pressure.
And that's going to be a lot of turret pressure because it's a cannon wave, so those minions are going to be smacking away on it. Gotta say, the early game pressure has been hugely advantaged Svenskeren. The failed counter jungle by Moon, no gank attempts, and nothing with this Ignite Shako has come in for use right now.
This turret's already dead.
Trying to get a little bit of CS/prevent the turret from going down.
Ooh, a lot of damage on the Sven. Q's actually has to flash away because he had aggro, and now Lemon's in. Two ship's gonna hit him in the back.
Moon still has Ignite. Bjerg still has ult, but no mana.
All right, they are going to get away with it, and the turret is going to stay alive. Moon rushing for the T-Mat for clear speed. But otherwise, I mean, that is a very low health turret. Hai is thankful that he has both the summoners available. Bjergsen and Sven both lost 1 each. So maybe a repeat gank goes well for FlyQuest, but first turret could be going to very soon in the mid lane.
Yeah, that is big trouble that they're getting harassed solo. And the fact that Svenskeren landed that Q onto Hai, really delaying the recalls enough to get that to happen. But we did get a small preview of the early burst that even just the Tiamat Shako has, what he's max deceive build, which is what he's going. That can turn into one-shot potential on targets like Nami, Ashe, or even Syndra in the mid-game.
Absolutely. Things to watch for. You got to be careful. Early Hex Trigger comes through for Hai, knows he needs to be defensive against Bjergsen. Syndra knows there's a lot of damage available to his lane opponent. Top lane starting to get a little bit more Hauntzer favored. He's got a small CS lead. He's still pushing in. Both top laners do have teleport available. Level 7 just now reached by the Nautilus. Should be soon for the Maokai. Bot laners, though, to give credit to FlyQuest, Altec and Lemonnation are winning. And it's not a matchup that I think you outright win easily. Since Biofrost can heal, usually it's fairly easy to withstand Varus.
Yeah.
But plus 10 is a good mark.
Yeah, Yeah, Nami is a really good laning champion, but we actually see an invade onto Moon. Eyes here, though.
Gonna force a smite. Yes, he makes Moon smite it away. Hai actually knocked up. Hauntzer still wants to fight him. This seems a little aggressive, but I guess they do have the members around. Sven was coming down, and now that's gonna be the turret. They just put in the effort, and it's close. A few more autos will do it, and looks like the minion wave. Ooh, he doesn't want to go for the risk. Exhaust is on. They might have the damage. Bjergsen still has flash, and that knockback was crucial to keep himself alive.
It really was. I like the initiative by TSM to try and get that turret, but they haven't got it yet, and now Balls TP's in.
Yeah, but Balls couldn't reach for the flash W. Nice lockup by Hauntzer, buying a bit more time. Now Hauntzer himself forced to run. Does have the flash, cuts the wall, and he'll get away. This is TSM playing very aggressively, trying to capitalize on their lead, and FlyQuest just barely holding on against it.
Yeah, and it's all map play. There was not much kill threat in any of those moves that TSM made, but they got that turret pretty much one auto from going down and forced a lot out from FlyQuest. Notice the Ignite, the Exhaust, and the Teleport all burned across 3 different players on FlyQuest.
And here's Biofrost. Make sure it comes through. And at this point, unless you can insta-clear the wave, this is going to be a killed turret. Lemonnation wants to tank it. You see he runs forward. Balls is there.
Oh, man.
Finds Bjergsen, and that's the kill. FlyQuest able to answer one. The root got to land on Biofrost as well. Bubble only hits Lemon, but in the back line they go, clearing the minions out. That is a crucial save by FlyQuest, getting the members there.
Yeah, and just as TSM was good to apply the pressure the first time, they go a little bit too far that time, and FlyQuest is not one to wait around and let you pull off map plays on them. They are going to fight you. This time, they're able to lock down onto Bjergsen, killing him before he can use his summoner spells because they had him dead to rights. Great counterplay there by Hai.
Absolutely beautiful. Watch that again, and it's just the capitalize. The collapse is there. Yeah, Balls are just behind him.
Yeah, so they had a control ward in the jungle behind there, and I believe TSM would have just expected Balls to walk back up to top lane after teleporting, but because he stuck around, it enabled FlyQuest to make that aggressive play.
This mid lane turret's got to have like 7 HP right now. I'm clicking on it.
Yep.
19. I was off by a bit.
Thank you, observers, as well, for checking it for everyone. Really just kind of keeps this game very close until they can crack that. And if TSM continues to overcommit to this turret, it constantly allows FlyQuest to counteract it. What's difficult, though, is when you're up against something like a Syndra, even for Shako or for Corki, if they step too far up to Syndra, they can actually just get killed right away. Moon is not building any magic resist. He's actually gone Boots of Mobility on top of his Tiamat right now. So unless they can get Bjergsen to blow cooldowns onto Hai, Moon can't even show himself in the mid lane to help defend that turret.
Things to watch out for then as the mid lane is being traded at equilibrium. It's funny, if someone just walks up and backdoor hits it, it'll actually, I think, die to a single auto attack from like Biofrost or Svenskeren, but of course they don't want to lose up a kill for that. TSM still not under a lot of pressure of losing first turret gold, but still be something to keep our eyes on. 300 gold difference, TSM still on the small lead. Advantage is pretty heavy in the mid lane. 25 up for Bjergsen 10 minutes in is pretty darn substantial. Balls likely has assist to himself and is trying to fight back against Hauntzer, but Hauntzer winning that pretty cleanly.
Exactly, and with the first blood top lane as well as the extra time Ball spent in the mid lane, that's opening up a large advantage in the top lane as well. So not too uncommon that we see FlyQuest soul lanes down in CS because they're either losing the lane a little bit, but then that's extended by the fact that they make so many roam attempts on their plays. And we're seeing those leads open. Ooh! Matter of playing back.
Nicely done by Sven. That might have actually been blind. I don't think there was any vision. Oh, no, they had a ward right there, but still very nicely played by him to land that last hit. Unlucky for Moon. Hai gets stunned up. The kick it back in, and it's going to be lights out for Corki. Nice kill picked up Sven, and Bjergsen delivering.
Super dead. Looks like he kind of either got interrupted out of his Valkyrie over the wall there by a Scatter the Weak. So
I think so.
The timing there on TSM preventing Hai from escaping in normal Corki ways clutches to give him that first turret. Pretty rare you see the mid lane as the first turret of the game as well.
Yeah, but it's where the pressure was. Svenskeren showed up, got the gank, and decided to stay for the turret damage. And you know, that kind of risk of not clearing your jungle again has paid off with that 1,000 gold influx and TSM up 2K. Can feel real good about this one. Bot lane holding on well enough. BF Sword Zertgreaves in for Ashe means he's kind of got past the first troubling recall. And worth noting that WildTurtle has actually gone for the Doran's Blade opener, even though he's probably going F3 for this game.
Yeah. I'm still personally a fan of starting Doran's Blade. It is still a very gold efficient item. And it does, in my opinion, keep your laning up. If you have a Nami as well, you're not worried about that extra 3 potions for sustaining.
Right, exactly.
So you can still just kind of get some of that burst resilience he's going to need as well, because against a Shako, that is a threat early on of jungler trying to come in and burst you, but he's going top for Hauntzer. He's got all summoners up there.
They landed a fear. They're going to land a two-man tidal wave almost. Lemonnation locked up with the bubble, flashing, but Sven's already there. Q's going to land. Now can they get much more? Altec in a bad spot. There's the kick back into the rest of the team. Nowhere for Altec to go, and Sven is absolutely everywhere. Even Q's back to the minion wave to make it look even cooler. 4-0, all of the kills on this Lee Sin.
Yes, Svenskeren's consistently been in exactly the right place at the right time, but that one was actually pretty obvious that FlyQuest shouldn't have been up that far because Moon had just shown top lane. Now Moon's going to try and get something back, but it's tough to dive at Nautilus.
It's going to be hard right now, actually. Ball's still holding aggro, jukes it back down. Now it's Moon, he might die for this one.
Oh, it's
That's
switched.
way too much damage. Yeah, he dropped aggro, and the close not going to do any damage. What a catastrophically bad dive.
Exactly. What happened there is Moon, pretty much everything went wrong during that dive because Moon sent his clone in, which is what you want turret aggro to have initially. Then you would want it to swap to the Maokai after he twisted advances, and then the Shako is supposed to maybe get it last after Moon clears. It all goes wrong. Balls gets the turret aggro at the start. Because he twisted advances, switches onto Moon's main body, not the clone, and he goes down right away. But this is the earlier gank we're talking about, where TSM knows they can get a 2v3, and even though the arrow kicks a field goal by going through Lemonnation and Altec, Svenskeren knows there's no counter gank opportunity, saves his kick on the first kill because they had him so cleanly with the bubble, and then kicks Altec backwards to pick up an easy double kill. So really well done gank by TSM, but FlyQuest shouldn't have been there in the first place.
I agree, they shouldn't have been, and if we're going to look at small mistakes, I actually want to critique Sven for taking that kill away. I feel like Ashe is going to scale better than Lee Sin, and you know you have Altec dead to rights. So personally, I would like to give that kill away if I were the jungler, but it is Sven farther ahead now. He's got a Hex Drinker, he's going towards his, maybe it's Ninja Tabby, we'll see what his next item actually is, but certainly a very far ahead Lee Sin, individually 1,400 gold over Moon. He's going to have a lot of effect this game.
Yeah, and Moon was spotted pathing between the bottom lane brushes there. Even though Altec and Lemonnation did get double killed, they want to keep the pressure up in that turret because they are falling dangerously far behind in this game, and they're trying to convert some of the standing gold. So that bottom lane turret is their quickest access to gold. That's why Moon is down there. He took one visit up there. He might even go back right after taking the Krugs if he doesn't want to continue trying to power farm.
And it looks like Moon is going for the somewhat tanko build. If I had to predict, I think it's Trinity Force into Titanic Hydra into completing the Center Hulk third item. That's because I wouldn't see you go Black Cleaver, and I think I've seen Triforce go into that build. But if TSM keeps as much control as they have right now, up 2 turrets to 1, and making it pretty close to 3 at this point, we might really never see Moon take off here, really.
Yeah, I mean, especially when they're in a 3,000 gold deficit against a team that has so much CC as well as burst potential. Shako still has a lot of tools to try and avoid that. If Syndra presses ult on him, a lot of times you can just press your ultimate, you split into 2, you kind of avoid the damage of the ultimate a lot of the time if you do it just right. Hopefully Moon, as he's mentioned, Shako taking so many games to master, has put in the time on it, but...
He's going to be on Bjergsen, though. Going to land this slow, going to land a whole crap ton of damage, forcing the flash out. Moon doesn't quite dodge it well enough. Ulti goes on to the correct one. Bjergsen guesses right, takes him out. Another kill, another backfired gank from Moon.
Great job by Bjergsen right there, kind of delaying the CC, and Moon was trying to use his ultimate to avoid those CCs, but he actually presses it early. He jumps the gun, then gets hit by the CC after the fact, and quickly one-shot. Great job by Biofrost, landed that bubble as well.
And you can see Moon actually quickly sidestepping towards Hexdrinker instead, realizing, dying too much to Syndra. And that's just slowing the power even farther. You don't think you really want to have to buy that item. Moon, unfortunately, though I wanted to see the Shako competitive go well, not having a great game. Svenskeren easily out-jungling him. And he can jump the wall here and get away from this, so... And not a lot of threat right now. Svenskeren having his way with the map. FlyQuest hoping to lick their wounds, have a 4,000 gold deficit, which is pretty substantial at this point. They don't always have the strongest lanes, but they usually made up the gold with good rotations, but they're losing in turrets and drakes as well.
Yeah, and as has kind of been a pattern with FlyQuest during this small losing streak they've had, when they played against Team Dignitas, it felt like the plays that FlyQuest were going for were just backfiring, which was in such stark contrast to how clean they were playing early on in the year. They're making these missed executions on their riskier plays, like trying to push up the dual lane after your jungler had just gone top lane, or trying to pull off the turret dive between Balls and Moon, which is just completely missed in the coordination. And when those things miss, since you're already investing a lot to go for the play, that's why we call them a high-risk play. When they go wrong, you get punished heavily.
Yeah, you do. And so that's why some teams are more risk-averse. We've seen that work out for several of these squads. TSM actually been pretty proactive themselves, but those have actually worked out much better for them. Moon still walking by awards. Good job by TSM getting the trinkets and the Sightstone wards down the track Shako. Really, it hasn't surprised almost anyone so far in this game. Checking back on his skill order, did finish maxing Q. I've seen some will go like 3 points and then go to 2 shiv. He is, of course, maxing 2 shiv second. That's not a surprise to anyone. But the full 5 points deceive means he's invisible for a while. Now level 10 is keeping up XP-wise with Sven, but that gold deficit still 900.
Yeah, Svenskeren
1300, sorry.
Completely outganked him right there, and the 1300 gold lead gives him a bunch of threat even in a 1v1 against Shako, because if he's able to land a Sonic Wave on the right target, simply kicking him away and then going for the execute can be enough to kill him. TSM really just starting to move into the jungle, which will more deny Moon experience and extend their lead.
And what we're seeing from TSM is the non-risky aggressive plays. It's they're roaming up as a team. The Nautilus and the Lee Sin and the Syndra all walk up the tri-brush, clear the wards, take a grump. All right, no one's here to defend. That's fine. We'll kill balls later. They've gotten all 3 outer turrets without any sort of major mistakes. 1 death the whole time through. Drake's up in a minute. Great, we can play for that next. Get the wards up, get the control back. And TSM just taking all of the map piece by piece.
Yeah, and this is what TSM want to get better at, obviously. They have mentioned the difficult transition period between losing Doublelift, bringing in WildTurtle, and having to kind of relearn their shot calling game.
Yeah.
They have lost more games already, not matches, games, this split, than they did all 18 matches of Summer Split. So,
to be fair, they have lost more matches too.
Tough process. Yep, already with 2 match losses.
But you're right. Sorry to interrupt you. I didn't mean to.
It's totally fine. TSM obviously still trying to grow here, and this is still in the middle of their huge test week. They had a rough-looking week last week with a unconvincing win over Envy and then a loss to Echo Fox, and people were thinking coming up against C9 and FlyQuest, you know, what if they lose both and go 0-3? Then it's almost time to panic for TSM, and they have to make big changes. But if they can respond to that adversity and come up with a 2-0 week against C9 and FlyQuest, well, then it's kind of hard to argue that they would need to make changes. So this game and this series, incredibly important for the rest of TSM's outlook for Spring Split.
Absolutely agree, and TSM starting to look pretty good here in this one. Slow and secured, playing it well. A stun. Lemonnation is going to die right off the bat. Bjergsen gets the solo kill. Now the re-engage. They've actually traded one back. Nicely done. High gets the kill credit as Bjergsen goes down. Now the 4v4 is here. Balls is going to land a... Oh, look at the damage output there. They might get a little bit more. Can they find these kills? TSM running. WildTurtle slow, but the sapling snipe comes in. High is in the fray as well, and Turtle just barely lives. Sven delivers a shield, and I can't believe TSM survived off that. The Drake and the 1-for-1. FlyQuest have to get something out of this.
Yeah, they just managed to keep kiting. Bjergsen extends a little bit far to make sure they can get that one shot. And I do kind of almost want to call out, like, the Ignite on Shako stopped him from getting in. If that's a flash Shako, he makes it completely in and is able to burst him down a little bit with the Tiamat. And now they go for a siege, but TSM trying to turn it around. Missed Q by Svenskeren.
Hauntzer trying to tank it up. High getting kicked around. Altec loses some HP, and that 2v4 turret defense plays out nicely. TSM don't lose anything off the fact their mid laner died, and they're back on the map, pretty much full HP, ready to keep going.
Yeah, that was a potential comeback opportunity for FlyQuest, being able to trade mid laner for support and then chase down, but the kiting from the volley spam from WildTurtle as well as Biofrost, just speeding them up ever so slightly and throwing bubbles was key in letting them escape and lets them maintain this lead.
Lemon is dead from fog.
Yeah, Ashe Arrow says hello on its way past. And then you think, Maokai behind, they're going to be able to pull this off, but notice how balls Q's potentially in the wrong direction, but that's not hugely why it happened. Nautilus Assault slows High's approach. Nami bubbles come in, and that low cooldown on volley as well as WildTurtle, making sure to gain that distance with a flash over the wall, just lets them avoid pretty much all the threat.
Yeah, he just barely survived it all. That could have been so much better. I mean, it was 50 HP and a couple members away from this becoming 2-3 kills. Mid lane turret's gone. Maybe they can even look for the Baron risk, but that's maybe too much of a risk for them. And slim margins could have made a 2,000 gold difference here in this game. FlyQuest still having to recover. TSM up 5,000, up this Infernal Drake. And they might just still be in control. Packaged in a timeout off of High. And the map is reset now. The only objectives that are easy for TSM to take are tier 2 turrets and an attempted Baron sneak.
Yeah, very true. And one thing I will say about, as they potentially catch High, this could be a fight.
Bjergsen is playing too aggressively. That's going to be a nice route, almost killing him off. Another re-engage. What a kick! In for Svenskeren, delivers high, but he's going to barely sneak back out. A Fear and a Hauntzer. Can they find much more? Balls going to land the root again, and he's going to kill off Bjergsen. He pops the ult, he gets it. Well, it's going to lose his life. It's going to be 1-for-1. WildTurtle down to 50 HP again, and high. Woo, gets the exhaust in time to not die to Sven. Another incredibly tight 1-for-1.
Yeah, these fights are close, but you're really seeing Hauntzer being impossible to go through, and we're seeing very little impact from Moon Shako in these team fights, unable to get in to execute any of these people. Balls just barely able to finish off Bjergsen, but it's another trade kill at the end of the day. And I was going to talk about these 5,000 gold leads and how I actually feel like in the last few weeks, 5,000 gold leads haven't been safe because teams are making enough mistakes. Bjergsen walks right into Altec's ultimate and pretty much gets burst down, and then High gets blasted around, able to flash to safety, and this is where things get a little bit dangerous because Balls is flanking around the top side of this fight, nearly gets bursted down by Bjergsen, but is able to finish him off. And then, once again, just the overall kiting of TSM is allowing them to kind of get out of these situations that could be rather fatal. So not the cleanest mid-game, even though TSM isn't getting heavily punished for it.
But very, very close battles. And again, these 50 HP windows can make the difference between winning and losing control of the map or taking even more off of it. Lemonnation going to go back in for wave control, and by that I mean ward control, into the river, and looks to get this vision advantage over Baron, but still more wards in the jungle that TSM will put down. It's certainly not darkness over there. As FlyQuest continues to wait to scale, and High going rapid fire cannon, good for you. More persistent damage, and maybe at a certain point they can start breaking through this Nautilus. It'll take a while. He's had so much money. Individually, he's actually richer than anyone on the FlyQuest team, so by rights, they shouldn't deserve to kill Hauntzer quickly. Building defensively. Even the Doran's Wing have health on them.
Very true. Super tanky. So with Courage of the Colossus in these big team fights, a lot of the tanks have switched over to Grasp for stronger laning phases, but not this game. Balls and Hauntzer both very much about the team fighting phase.
TSM looking to take control of this
Ashe
one.
arrow.
And actually, most teams have been missing this game. They've been juked away properly. Stun's going to land on the balls. Doesn't really mean a whole lot there from Hauntzer. Maybe a bit of a wasted ult. Hooks back in on a High. That's some good damage. Bubble land as well. Big by Biofrost. High trying to run, and Svenskeren kills him off. That's a worthy trade, even though Altec does kill him. But look at that on the front line. Altec cannot withstand Hauntzer's damage, and Ball can do the same thing. Lemonnation dropping to Bjergsen in the back lines, and now Moon is suddenly sad and alone and running away and hiding. TSM in complete control of that fight.
Yeah, two big things to call out in that fight was Svenskeren getting the angle and landing a Q through just chaos, and then the fact that FlyQuest just could not deal with Hauntzer. He was a total monster in that fight, walking into about 3 people on FlyQuest, and TSM finally finds a fight that can convert their lead.
That's big right there. 8,000 gold leads. Still 4 are dead, but TSM taking the slower approach. They're going to recall and not go Baron.
Yeah, and the Ashe arrows definitely have not been the highlight from this game. Hard to land Ashe arrows against Karma sometimes, but then watch this. Watch the angle Svenskeren gets on this play. As FlyQuest is going in and High's kind of caught up, he flashes to kick right over High and then still lands the Q onto High, which allows him to execute. And then watch that. You know second threat up is Altec, and Hauntzer just walks next to him. All the damage is trying to hit Hauntzer there. Since they've been able to take out High earlier, they don't have enough. That allows Bjergsen to ghost around the side of the fight and also execute the other squishy targets. And then, in classic front-to-front team fighting, Balls was doing the same thing on the other side, but he's weaker than Hauntzer right now, so he falls first, and it's a 4-kill fight for TSM.
They can take so much more off the reset, of course. They recalled in time to be healthy and to fight for the map. They were on the map full HP, full cooldowns before FlyQuest were, and it means that there are no comeback pieces. And I do want to highlight just sort of how TSM played that, because they could have said, we won the team fight, let's rush Baron and reset afterwards. They instead took the very measured approach of taking down the mid lane tier 2, recalling before the respawns, so there's no chance FlyQuest takes anything at all. TSM want to make sure they take every minion, push all the waves, kill all the turrets, and don't leave anything left up for their opponents.
Yeah, I mean, especially after watching the game yesterday where TSM actually had but a 5,000 gold lead over Cloud9 in game 2 of that series. They ended up losing it while being a little bit over-aggressive in the base and getting caught out. So TSM need to make sure they're playing a little bit cleaner, so to speak, although the whole year people have been telling them to be more aggressive and feed a little bit more because that's the way you move into progress. But this game, playing it a little bit more measured.
You can see that all North American LCS teams have a very good win rate.
Nice shot.
For the lead, the jump comes in. They can't quite take the blue buff away. It's going to go to high. Doesn't mean much as yet, but ball's down in the front line. Redemption going to buy a bit more, and Moon chunked out, nearly dead. Oh, that was his clue, and I take it back. But it's still going to be balls dropping out 1 for 0 on this. They kite away. Lemonnation now going to be stunned. Biofrost the bubble, and Hauntzer getting the kill credit on this one. Deservedly so, I think. 2-0 on that fight. TSM doing everything they possibly want here in these battles.
Yeah, Moon definitely anti-hyping the Shako pick so far. Shako pick, we've never decided on the correct pronunciation because we never see him, but just hallucinating at random times in these fights, and it's not showing much effectiveness. With 2 people dead now, it's going to be a very hard Baron to stop. Moon trying to be as sneaky as possible. Invisible blast code!
Jumps over the wall, takes a whole ton of damage. He can't get away in time. They might kill WildTurtle. High is trying, and he gets the one shut down, but here's the backup into the Baron. It will be secured, but can't complain too bad about a 1-for-1 fight. But that Baron, definitely no chance of going away now. Nicely picked up. TSM in more control, and High. Flash Q, he's going to go down. Exhaust. Oh! Oh, High, that was pretty freaking nice. The Hex Drinker was up. He's dead now. He's dead. He's gone. Svenskaren's killed him.
Okay.
But that was actually pretty slick. 2 for 2, 2 Baron buffs off. Better than the average expectation over there.
Just a Trinity Force and a Hex Drinker in this play as well with the double buffs. A dodge is the first skill shot. Hex Drinker prevents him from dying.
And he's got no cooldown.
And then an exhaust on what was the Thunderlord's proc from Bjergsen that I believe would have killed. And Bjergsen goes, wow, nice job, High, because that was unexpected.
Yeah, he had already burned W, of course. Q just got eaten by Hex Drinker, and he's like, well,
had nothing left.
I can auto-attack a Corki, but maybe a little unlucky. So nicely done by High, getting 2 kills when, you know, generally you're not supposed to get those, so that's kind of props to him. He's the kill leader of his team. But there is so much more work that has to be done for FlyQuest from this one around. They are heavily behind, and TSM just by the book, clearing the waves, taking their time, and they will push these turrets down soon.
Yep, 4 people on TSM still have the Baron buff right now. So expect the push since they have a 10,000 gold lead right now and Baron buff for another 2 minutes. The outer turrets, or the second tier turrets rather, are usually the target, but FlyQuest is not one to wait around, and with High having the package right now, if TSM moves up a little bit out of position, I'd expect them to do that, but actually Moon's totally split pushing, trying to equalize the game, and this is actually just turret trading actually until the inhibitor turrets go down.
Well, it's going to be bot lane 2-2 pretty much for free. FlyQuest's team fighting is not as good as TSM's. They don't have that same tank killing. And
yeah, this is really interesting actually. They're trying to get multiple turrets. The question is though, TSM with this numbers advantage is going to push through to try and end the game. Nexus turrets are next up because there are 3 people that haven't recalled yet. How much can they get on here before FlyQuest can teleport back?
All right, here we go. On to the Nexus turrets right now. Hook on a High. That could be the game-winning pick. He's going to be kicked off, and there he goes down. Tidal Wave helping with that one. 1 turret gone. Svenskeren and a half. Altec's back in the fray. The root's going to be nicely get damage on the Hauntzer, but it just is irrelevant. The hook on Lemon. He's got a flash out as well. Nice knockup. Biofrost with this kill as well. Onto the Nexus turret number 2. It's going to go down quickly. Svenskeren dropping the aggro. Ball's going to drop next off. That's already 3 for nothing. Looking for the 4th. It's going to be right on the Moon's face, and now Altec's got nothing left to do. That's going to be the game. TSM controlled the whole way through. Take down game 1, looking to cement the week as a 2-0 against Cloud9 and former Cloud9 as FlyQuest dropped game 1.
Yeah, so a very strong start to the series for TSM, making the decisive call down the stretch to go up the mid lane, and really, I actually like the idea of that call for FlyQuest if High didn't get picked off before his team recall, because they could have fought back with 2 Nexus turrets in a 5v5 if it had actually been a 5v5. And once again, I feel like FlyQuest makes an aggressive call that actually backfires, which has been happening all too often in the last 3 matches.
Yeah, and it is unfortunate, right? And I wonder how sort of macro lens you want to look. Because if this has been how FlyQuest has been shot calling the entire season, which I would say it is, you look at variance and say, well, it worked 6 times and it didn't work 3 times. It's still 2-to-1 odds. You just happen to have the 6 at the beginning and 3 at the end, even though nothing actually changed. That's just how the coin flips lined up. And
exactly.
I personally kind of take that line of reasoning where I don't think they suddenly got worse at shot calling. It just maybe other teams got better at reacting, which maybe that does beg changes from High and the rest of the team. But, you know, at the same time, you have a non-team fighting comp where you're down in gold against Baron buff. Can you really defend bot lane tier 2? No. Can you defend inhibitor? Probably not either.
Exactly. That's why I think that call to be able to get 3 turrets in a trade, 2 in the top side and 1 in the mid, was a smart one, but it just looks really bad with the way TSM decisively ended the game. And part of that is because Hauntzer, once again, was a total monster. I'd say Svenskeren really stepped up
Huge.
against the pick that you hasn't seen in the LCS in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean, the last time Shako was picked, Svenskeren was in the European LCS.
Pretty sure at that point.
So definitely a long throwback right there, but 7-1-7 on Svenskeren, totally controlled the game.
Yeah.
Good job by TSM.
Beautiful Lee Sin play by him. Pretty amazing stuff. So TSM get that game 1 win, but now to give us some more insight on that, let's send it over to the